You don't need to send help for me. I'm good. But they definitely needed some help. And let's find out a little bit more how much help they needed, starting with the IMDb plot. When an employee and her insufferable boss become stranded on a deserted island, the only survivors of a plane crash, they must overcome past grievances and work together to make it out alive. All right. All right. So this one came out a little while ago, not too long ago, but was hoping to do a review a little bit quicker, but unfortunately didn't get to see it right away. Um, at first, I wasn't really sure. I know I shared a lot of it on Promote Horror, uh, but wasn't sure, like, this is going to be horror movie or just kind of Survivor. Um, but it turns out to be, kind of different kind of elements here of different kinds of movies, and actually became a fun mix, a nice surprise here. Um, Obviously, a lot of people wanted to see it uh, because Sam Raimi is behind it. Big for horror fans. So, another reason to see it, just maybe alone, whether you're concerned with whether it's horror or not. Um, let's see. Yeah, they say psychological horror here, and I get that a lot. Obviously, thriller, survival, and so forth on IMDb here. So, um, yeah, and still held a very strong rating on IMDb. Just kind of browsing here as I talk. Um, all right, so let's jump into it a little bit. Big spoiler alert in this movie. Spoilers to come. There's some twists and turns as we wind down to the end of this movie. So I'm gonna leave that all out. I won't get into that. Save that if you guys have not seen it yet. So I'm not gonna spoil all of that for you. But I'll just kind of give you a little bit of getting into this movie. Um, we have early on the office setting. We got to meet the two characters. We start with Linda, and she's the hard worker. She's um maybe a little bit of weird in the office there. Maybe not standing out for this reason or that, but she's the hard worker. Apparently, the person she is working under takes a lot of credit for the work she does, but as you know, in the workplace, sometimes the people at the bottom do a lot of the work, and the people above you, take the credit for it and say, hey, I did it, and then I'm the one leading the way, and that's kind of what's happening here for her. Um, Unfortunately for her, he's not necessarily the one that she gets stuck on the island with. That is a new boss that has come in, and boss of the whole company, and he's taken this position. Um, Fresh there, and she tries to make an impression on him early on, and as there's a promotion to be had, and funny scene to kind of start. I won't get into the details of it. I'll let you guys enjoy that scene, but funny scene to kind of start. Their little relationship between the two there, and eventually, she's not going to get the promotion, so she's going to be kind of pissed off about that, leading to another funny kind of scene. And before you know it, her and the guy above her, and I believe one other guy, and the boss are all getting on a plane trip to take a business/golf trip. And on that on that plane ride, obviously it's going to go down. We know that's coming, and but we kind of see that the group of guys here. She's the only woman on the plane. Sees that she tried to apply for a Survivor, and they're all there watching this clip and kind of making fun of her, which was a fun little twist. Like, as opposed to her being on this island and then doing a good job of surviving, and you're just like, well, how the hell does she know all this? and maybe she says something stupid like I used to go camping or whatever, blah blah. No, like you know, they just are going to give it to you right there. You know, she did the whole Survivor thing, and she did the whole video to apply for Survivor, and you know, she's apparently like researched survival tips and done everything she can do uh, for survivalness and so forth. So it's not kind of like a random thing that you know, or she's just not figuring it out while she's on the island. So that was pretty neat. And obviously the plane crash, fabulous scene of the plane crashing or what's going on here in that plane, and really enjoyed that scene as well. So you know we're off to a good start here in this movie. Plane crashes. She comes out of it pretty unscratched and fine. Unfortunately, her boss, uh, he's injured his leg pretty badly, and I believe he's kind of like knocked out for maybe a day or two. So she kind of gets a head start on kind of her survivalness and you know like building some shelter, kind of having him you know kind of set up there, and you know he wakes up like what the hell's going on? He can't really move, and you know he's still kind of in a mood with her, and but you know quickly we see that you know she's got it going. You know she's gonna survive. She's got you know figuring things out. She's you know got the shelter going. She's figuring out the food situation. You know she tries to take care of him. You know there's this back and forth. You know sometimes he's being nice to her. Sometimes they're arguing. Obviously, you know, he wants to kind of take care of everything because, you know, and he keeps reminding her that, you know, he's the boss, even though they're still on this island. And, you know, so they're going to have their back and forth and so forth. As far as, you know, arguing and you know, who's the real boss on this island now. So then time's going to go on and they're going to be on this island for a while. And, you know, she kind of you know, kicks into I'm on Survivor. Like this is like you know her Survivor thing. You know maybe this is a better world than the world she was living in. You know is she really in a hurry to get back to reality? Does she really want to be rescued? Him on the other hand, you know he's the boss. He's obviously got a lot more money and so forth. Blah blah. He wants to get the hell out of there, and he has you know very little survival you know, knowledge, techniques, whatever, and he's injured. So, you know, he's not doing a very good job without her help. So he's definitely more concerned with, you know, how the hell do I get off this island, but really can't do much, you know, about that. So we kind of have them kind of go back and forth. You know, they're going to get along, then not get along, not get along, and so forth for a while. And then things are going to escalate as they go on the island. And then I'm going to kind of leave it at that. Like I said, there are some twists and turns to come in this story. So, you know, there's some excitement to see. It's not just them bickering the entire time and waiting for help. There are, you know, a few things that are going to happen here. As far as, you know, the horror, obviously, you know, there's, you know, not a lot of people around, not a lot of blood and guts to go around, but there is a fabulous scene where she goes hunting for a boar, and that becomes a nice bloody mess. That's another fun scene. So there's a lot of great scenes in this movie. That's a really fun scene as she hunts for this boar, and then the outcome of that. You know, he has a scene with one later on. Doesn't go as well. Doesn't do great. Obviously, you know, at some point, you know, they're going to come head to head and have some disagreements. So they have some good fighting as well. But obviously, you know, maybe not big on the horror in the way of you know, besides that boar getting blood and guts everywhere. You know, huge on that. but they definitely, have some interesting moments amongst themselves. Um, like I said, there's a nice mix of horror, not horror, of comedy, a humor in the movie. Obviously, at the beginning in the office, but as they're on the island, as they're bickering, as things are going on, as things, happen to him, they kind of flip it. Obviously, she's kind of the boss on the island, and he's kind of the one kind of learning and picking things up and maybe not doing a good job. He has a disgusting scene or two as well as he tries to survive and not in a great way. He eats something that's very nasty um, because he's just trying to do it on himself, but he just can't. So there's a nice mix of humor that's in it as well. So they don't, I don't think they get too bogged down on and too um, exhausting on their arguments or on them getting, their relationship. Obviously, this is basically a two-person movie here for most of the time. So I think, they mix it up enough and do a good job where, it's just, you don't get tired of, oh, this is just a typical Survivor movie. I think they get the humor in it. I think, they give you the mix of Survivor. And then, like I said, there's a twist and turn to come in the movie. And I think they did a pretty good job of hiding that. Um, maybe a small clue, afterwards and after things kind of played out. Um, I was kind of like, they obviously when you see that this twist happens, there's one fairly obvious clue, and one of the people here uh, kind of point that out, and but they covered it up earlier on in a very reasonable manner, or what seemed to be a reasonable manner. To whatever, but maybe you guys, as you watched it, maybe you did catch that, and maybe you're like, um, that's one of those things that you could say, oh well, that could have naturally happened, or oh, that makes complete sense. But I thought they did a good job of hiding it in there, and they do a good job of mixing in uh, the movies, with both of them on the island, but it's a lot about her and the choices that she makes, and who does she want to be? Does she want to go back to reality? Does she want to stay on the island? She's kind of playing Survivor, so that's cool. Um, but she really is the, even though it's the two of them on the island, she is the main character here. So it's a lot of what's being dictated is up to her and what she wants in life. Does she just want to stay on this island forever? Is that realistic? Or does she want to get help? Does she want to get rescued? Decisions really are going to come down to her. Um, so yeah, I really liked what they did at the end. It was a interesting twist, um, and definitely led to a fun kind of ending. So overall, I'm going to be in agreement uh, with a lot of people have been saying, whether it's online, um, or definitely here. Um, with the seven out of 10 score here with a decent amount of reviews. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. Enjoyed the characters, enjoyed the humor mixed in. Definitely liked the twist. Um, you know, while it would have nice to, in a different way. It's not that kind of movie. We can get a lot of deaths or anything like that in it, but a lot of fun scenes in it. I thought they did a good job. The acting was solid as well. Um, so I'm gonna give this one 4 pools of blood. Definitely enjoyed it. Um, and Survivor movies, we can kind of say, sometimes that, oh, we've seen this before and so forth, blah blah. In ways, we kind of have, but I thought this was a good mix with a good twist and so forth, and really kind of enjoyed the characters here and what they did. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one 4 pools of blood and be in a large agreement with um, with what a lot of people are saying about this movie. So that's 4 pools of blood out of 5. So with that, horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all my reviews, written and video. If not, it's been a while since I've written a review, so you can just join me on YouTube like everybody else wants you to do here. And if not, no worries, it is okay. I thank you for your time regardless. You can now just find me on Facebook and Blue Sky. Switching it up, jumped off X because of X reasons. We will not be supporting them too much longer. And down in the comment section, if you see the movie and want to talk about it down below, and if you enjoyed it or not, please feel free to put your comments there. And with that, I'll catch you on the next review, horror fans.